Welcome to Manila Updates TV. Subscribe and press the bell icon for more updates. Tonight, the world holds its breath, as a region long simmering with tension now teeters on the edge of crisis. The South China Sea, a vital artery for global trade and a flashpoint for international rivalry, has become the center of the world's attention. Tensions in the South China Sea have reached a boiling point, with the threat of conflict looming larger than ever before. The air is thick with uncertainty, and every movement on these waters is watched with bated breath. Chinese warships and U.S. Navy vessels now find themselves in dangerously close proximity, maneuvering through contested waters near the Philippines. Each side is determined to assert its presence, unwilling to back down. Years of rising ambition, territorial claims, and disputes over international law have led to this high-stakes standoff. Diplomatic efforts have faltered, and the world's most powerful militaries are now face-to-face, testing each other's resolve. The risk of a single miscalculation has never been higher. One wrong move, one misunderstood signal, could ignite a conflict that would be impossible to contain. Across the globe, people are glued to their screens, watching events unfold in real time. Families gather in living rooms, crowds cluster around public displays, all wondering if this is the moment when peace finally shatters. The ocean is now crowded with destroyers and frigates from multiple nations, their crews on high alert. Radio warnings and coded messages fill the airwaves as each side tries to assert control without crossing the line into open conflict. Chinese fighter jets scream low over American ships, executing bold maneuvers meant to intimidate. Overhead, U.S. reconnaissance planes circle relentlessly, gathering intelligence and sending a clear message to Beijing that America is watching and ready to respond. This is modern brinkmanship at its most dangerous. Advanced missile systems, cutting-edge radar, and electronic warfare capabilities are all on display. The consequences of a clash here would be immediate and devastating. China claims almost the entire sea as its own, flexing its military muscle with large-scale naval drills and parades. Meanwhile, the Philippines and other Southeast Asian nations protest diplomatically, their voices growing louder as their sovereignty is challenged. The United States has responded with force, dispatching the USS Ronald Reagan Carrier Strike Group to the region. Fighter jets roar off the carrier's deck, a powerful signal that America will not stand by as its allies are threatened and international norms are tested. Behind closed doors, military commanders and world leaders hold emergency meetings, weighing every option. The question on everyone's mind: will cooler heads prevail, or will a single rash move trigger a conflict with global consequences? The stakes are enormous. A clash here would send shockwaves through the world economy, disrupting trade routes that carry trillions of dollars in goods. Stock markets tremble, and the very fabric of the global order could be redrawn overnight. In these tropical waters, the future of international security is being decided. The outcome of this standoff will shape alliances, redraw boundaries, and determine the balance of power for years to come. Tonight, that future feels dangerously uncertain. Warships patrol under the cover of darkness, their crews tense and ready for anything. The world waits, hoping that diplomacy will win out over force. The world is watching and waiting, from bustling cities to remote villages. People everywhere are united by a single question: what will happen next? The stakes have never been higher. As the clock ticks and nerves fray, the decisions made in the coming hours could change the course of history. Why does this stretch of ocean matter? At first glance, it may seem like just another vast expanse of water, but beneath its surface and across its waves, the South China Sea holds a significance that reaches every corner of the globe. It's the lifeblood of the global economy, a critical artery through which the world's commerce flows day and night, connecting continents and fueling industries. Every year, 1/3 of all global shipping, over $5 trillion in trade, passes through the South China Sea. These ships carry everything from electronics and automobiles to food and fuel, making this waterway essential for daily life in countless countries. If this vital route were ever blocked or disrupted, the impact would be immediate and severe. Supply chains would grind to a halt, shelves would empty, and economies would falter, highlighting just how interconnected our world has become. But the South China Sea is more than just a shipping lane. Beneath its waves lie vast reserves of oil and natural gas, resources that are fiercely coveted by energy-hungry nations like China, Japan, and South Korea. Control over these resources could shape the future of energy security in Asia and beyond. The sea's rich fisheries are another lifeline, feeding millions and supporting entire communities. Yet, aggressive fishing tactics, territorial disputes, and growing militarization threaten these fragile livelihoods, putting both people and ecosystems at risk. The South China Sea is also a battleground for international law and the rules-based order. Disputes over territory and navigation rights test the strength of global agreements and the willingness of nations to abide by them. If a single nation were able to close off this major waterway, it would set a dangerous precedent, threatening the freedom of navigation that underpins global trade and security. That's why the US and its allies insist on maintaining a presence here. Their patrols and exercises are about more than just scattered islands. They're about upholding the principles that keep the world's oceans open and free. In the end, the South China Sea is not just a regional flashpoint. The world's economic and legal order is on the line, making this waterway one of the most vital and contested places on Earth. The roots of this conflict are tangled in history, nationalism, and law. China claims nearly the entire sea, marked by its 9-dash line, clashing with the claims of Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. These smaller nations rely on internationally recognized exclusive economic zones for resources. In 2016, an international tribunal ruled against China's sweeping claims, but Beijing rejected the verdict and doubled down. China has built artificial islands equipped with runways, ports, and missile batteries, unsinkable aircraft carriers in the heart of the sea. These moves have fundamentally changed the strategic landscape. The conflict is now not just about territory, but about the power to shape the region's future. The legal battle has become a contest of will and might. The world is watching to see who prevails. Today's tense maritime standoff is not a sudden development, but rather the culmination of years, if not decades, of China's carefully orchestrated strategy in the region. This is a deliberate display of power, designed to send a message to the world. Over the past decade, People's Liberation Army Navy has undergone a dramatic transformation. Once a coastal defense force, it has evolved into a formidable blue water navy, capable of projecting power far from China's shores. Today, it deploys some of the world's most advanced destroyers, stealthy frigates, and state-of-the-art amphibious assault ships, all operating in tight formation and ready for action. But China's strategy extends beyond its navy. A vast fleet of Coast Guard vessels, many heavily armed, patrols disputed waters. Alongside them, a shadowy maritime militia, civilian fishing boats operating under military direction, swarm contested areas, harassing foreign ships and asserting China's claims through sheer numbers and persistence. In the skies above, Chinese fighter jets now conduct aggressive patrols, frequently intercepting US and allied aircraft. These encounters are often tense, with pilots coming dangerously close, underscoring the risks of escalation. Meanwhile, China has built a network of artificial islands, transforming reefs and rocks into heavily fortified forward bases. Outfitted with radar installations, airstrips, and missile batteries, these outposts extend China's military reach deep into the South China Sea, allowing for rapid deployment and surveillance. This impressive show of force is not just for foreign audiences. It's aimed at China's neighbors, at its own citizens, bolstering national pride, and at the United States, challenging its traditional dominance in the region. Through these actions, Beijing is making it clear: the era of uncontested US supremacy in Asia is coming to an end. China is determined to shape the regional order on its own terms. With its forces on high alert, China signals its readiness to defend its interests, no matter the cost. Live fire drills and battle stations are now routine, demonstrating a willingness to risk confrontation if necessary. The balance of power in Asia is shifting rapidly, with each maneuver and deployment altering the strategic landscape. The world is watching as rival warships and aircraft test each other's resolve in these contested waters. The stakes could not be clearer. What happens here will shape the future of the region, and perhaps the world, for years to come. The US response is clear: freedom of navigation. The US Navy conducts freedom of navigation operations, sailing warships near features claimed by China to challenge excessive claims. The 7th Fleet, with its aircraft carriers and destroyers, projects power and reassures allies like the Philippines and Japan. Joint military exercises with regional partners send a message of collective security. The US strategy is to prevent any single country from dominating the Indo-Pacific. By challenging China's claims and maintaining a strong presence, Washington aims to preserve a rules-based order. But this approach brings US and Chinese forces into close, frequent contact. The risk of an incident is ever present. For the US, the freedom of the seas is non-negotiable. The world is watching to see if this balance can hold. US and Chinese forces now operate in dangerously close quarters. Near misses between warships and aggressive aerial intercepts have become routine. A single misjudgment could trigger a catastrophic collision or crisis. Both sides have hotlines to de-escalate, but trust is thin, and communication can break down. The core problem: each side sees itself as upholding the law and the other as the aggressor. This mutual suspicion fuels a cycle of escalation. The risk of a local incident spiraling into a wider conflict is real. The South China Sea has become a stage for a high-stakes security dilemma. Neither side wants war, but neither is willing to back down. The world holds its breath as the dance continues. For the Philippines, this is a fight for sovereignty and survival. Filipino fishermen are harassed and blocked from traditional waters by Chinese vessels. Manila has increased naval patrols and sought international support, raising the issue at the UN and ASEAN. The Philippines has strengthened its alliance with the US, granting expanded base access and reaffirming their mutual defense treaty. This shift marks a move away from past accommodation with Beijing. Now, the Philippines is caught between a powerful neighbor and a superpower ally. Its fate is tied to the outcome of this regional standoff. The stakes for ordinary Filipinos are immediate and personal. ASEAN, the 10-nation Southeast Asian bloc, is deeply divided over the South China Sea. Some members, like the Philippines and Vietnam, push for a strong stance against China. Others, reliant on Chinese investment, are reluctant to confront Beijing. This division has left ASEAN largely ineffective in responding to the crisis. Economic dependence on China gives Beijing powerful leverage. Negotiations for a code of conduct have dragged on, with little progress. Critics say China is buying time to cement its control. ASEAN faces a stark choice: defend sovereignty or risk irrelevance. The region's unity and future hangs in the balance. The South China Sea is now the front line in a battle over Asia's future. The US and its allies champion a rules-based order. China asserts historic rights and power. If China secures control, it could dominate trade routes and project power across Asia, undermining US influence. The outcome will shape the region's security, prosperity, and the global balance of power. This is more than a dispute over reefs. It's a test of whether the world can manage the rise of a new superpower peacefully. The urgent need is for de-escalation and diplomacy. Without it, the risk of accidental conflict remains dangerously high. The world's eyes are fixed on these contested waters, where the future is being decided.